If you don't feel ready to live the life you dream of living, I have something you need to hear. I'm going to tell you a story about how I lived my life waiting for the right moment to get started. I had it all planned out in my head. I had the idea, and once I became skilled enough, I would bring this idea to life. But alas, between all the things going on in my life, and I mean big complications, serious problems, I didn't feel ready to start. And has that ever happened to you, where you have something big and real you can point at in the outside world that makes the next step towards what you really want to do sound like the reasonable and right choice to just stand still? So how do you do it? How do you start feeling ready enough to start? When is it time for something to change? Hi, I'm Jen. I'm a painter based right here in Columbia, South Carolina. I've been sharing my cozy artwork with clients since 2016, and in today's video, I'm going to be painting and talking you through the biggest block to creativity: believing in the circumstances more than you believe in yourself. In other words, why you don't feel ready to start. But before the video, if you do want to support this channel, please like this video and subscribe to this channel to see more just like this one. The painting I'm making today will be soon listed in my shop, so if you are interested in collecting paintings or prints, follow the link in the description to pick out your very own piece and have it mailed to your doorstep. So, let's talk about it. You have all these ideas in your head, rattling around, and you haven't started yet for a lot of reasons. What are the reasons you tell others in defense of why you haven't started yet? If you're like me, the circumstance I always used is, I don't have time. I had a 9-to-5 job that was really draining, and I said if I just had more time, I would be able to start this idea. But the truth is, that wasn't the only circumstance I brought up. Let me tell you a story real quick. When I was about 20 years old, I had started writing songs on the guitar. I told myself that I would love to record my music someday, but I never really got started because every single year I found a new circumstance that became the reason I'm not starting yet. I thought that by not acting on the idea yet, it would quiet down, tuck itself away somewhere, ready to be surfaced, once I'd leveled up enough to be skilled and experienced enough to bring the idea to life the quote-unquote right way. But the problem is, the idea was not quietly tucked away. Instead, I walked around every day with the idea vibrating in my mind, echoing like a voice in a hollow cave. I want to release my music, the voice said, and each time I heard it, I answered back, here's the circumstance why we can't start yet. The circumstances changed each time. I told myself that I just needed the right recording equipment, and then I told myself I needed better recording software, and then I told myself I needed more experience, more time, more practice, and then I told myself I just needed a team of people or the right person to carry out my idea perfectly in the way that I wanted it done. Now, those are a lot of circumstances. But I shrugged. I'll table that idea for another day when the conditions are more favorable, and I kept on living life with that idea alive inside my head with me. I told myself that one day it'll be brought to life, but something else happened instead. More ideas came, and more, and now, a few months ago, I, at my 25 years of age, have lived enough life to now understand something very, very valuable. Use your ideas now, because more will come. I realized that I stopped myself from acting on my ideas because I thought that somehow the idea would live a better life if brought alive by an older, wiser, more skilled version of me. Have you ever considered the reason you have this idea now in the first place is because now is the perfect time for you to bring it to life? Have you considered there is magic that exists inside your current idea that only current you can get out of it? And I remember that after 3 years of blaming my circumstances, making excuses, I sat down in an empty spare room of my apartment. The tile floor was not sound treated, and the AC didn't work in the room, so it was too hot to close the door. My cats ran around and meowed in the background, and I used a sock as a breath guard over the microphone. I opened GarageBand and recorded some of my songs. I realized something important that day. It doesn't matter if it's done poorly, it only matters that it's made. Projects can be started again, improved later, but not if you don't take the time to document it now. I have to say, the quality of the recordings are mediocre if I'm being kind, but the emotion in my voice when singing those lyrics when they needed to be said by me, by that version of me, is something I can never recreate. And that's the magic that's missing if you do not bite the bullet and act on your ideas now, even if it's not exactly the version of what's in your head. The thing about being a creative person is that you will always have this unachievable image of perfection in your mind, not necessarily because you're a perfectionist, but because the creative idea exists in a different plane of existence. And when we try to bring it down into the real world, it will always seem like it's lacking. And that's of no fault to you as a creator. That's of no fault to you or your skills as an artist. It's just the natural way of things. I am so grateful I recorded those songs when I did, because I can redo the technical instruments around it and keep the original sound file for the vocals. And I wouldn't have that if I had allowed my circumstances to prevent me from starting. Now, are you the type to say, I just need more time? So this is how it applies to my life. I don't know if it's different for you, but I do find it valuable to share. A few months ago, I pressed pause, left my 9-to-5, and didn't get another job for a few months. As a creative person living in corporate America, I needed some free rein to live life simply and remove those quote-unquote circumstances I had always blamed and see what life is really like without it. See, for years I had told my therapist I would be more creative if I didn't work a 9-to-5. It drains so much time out of my day, which is true. I can't discount that. But what I didn't anticipate is that when I stopped working, the projects I'd been dreaming about starting were actually still really hard to start. I didn't get it. I had always blamed the circumstance. I don't have time. Now I have time, but I was still blocked. I remember some days just bouncing around aimlessly as if I was a leaf in a hurricane, carried away by ideas, left without anything to ground me. The thing is, having ideas and starting them are two separate skills. And what I found is that there will never be something outside of myself that makes me feel like it's okay to start. It's almost as if when we're afraid of starting, when we don't feel ready to start, we are looking for permission from something outside of us to tell us it's okay to start. And we'll never get that. When the circumstances change, you will still look for something, anything else, to give you that permission to start. The only thing that will remove the friction you feel, the hesitation to move forward, is simply the will to move. It's like getting into a cold pool. You dip your toe in the water and it's like, ooh, that's so cold. That's where we blame the circumstances. What we don't realize is that the pool is just cold, period, point blank. The pool isn't cold because it's hot outside or because your swimsuit is the wrong style or color. No, the pool is just cold. Your idea is just new. And starting something new will always feel like this. It's normal. This is how it's supposed to be. When you start something new, you feel uncomfortable. And getting good at bringing your creative ideas to life will always feel a little like this in the beginning. No one is good at anything the first time they try. The awesome thing about being creative is that we see the possibilities of what can be. The scary thing about being creative is that we see the possibilities of what could have been. the potential of what could be versus the judgment of what we've done. It's the same strength used for or against us. An idea, when it's just yours in your head, is this great cloud of indescribable and incredible potential. And once it's out into the real world, we can't help but feel like something's missing. So, here's your permission to let go of that judgment. Let go of the inner critic. Hold on to what's useful and discard the rest, because at least you made something, and that's more than other people can say. Last week, my sister introduced me to the book Soundtracks by Jon Acuff. I bought the audiobook and now listen to it on my morning commute. The book talks about how we all have these soundtracks in our mind that play throughout the day, much like the music you listen to. And like music, these soundtracks can affect your mood and affect how you approach life. Common soundtracks are things like, "This is going to be incredibly difficult," or "I just don't know enough to start." I listen to these soundtracks all the time when debating whether or not to start a new project. But somewhere along the way, I started changing the way that I think about these projects. Instead of saying, "This is going to be incredibly difficult," I shift into, "This is going to be incredibly rewarding." When my inner critic says, "I just don't know enough to start," I say, "Who does?" For so long, it was like I was endlessly searching for some external circumstance to give me the permission to bring my creative ideas to life. What I didn't realize is that by looking outside of myself for permission, I robbed myself of the power I had, that you have too, to simply pick up the pen and begin. Anyway, that's the video for today. I hope that you got something out of this and that you are now inspired to start. If you want some actionable steps about what helped me actually start taking action on these ideas that I had, comment below and maybe I'll make a video about those 3 actionable steps. As always, I really do appreciate you spending any amount of time here on this channel with me. I really do consider it a gift. And for that, this humble artist says thank you.